Well, my progress continues to be centered on the remote control and getting the hardware and the software to work. What you're seeing is a picture of my little 3D printed box to ultimately become my remote control device. What I was working on over the last week or so is getting these potentiometers to work. I mean, what you're seeing here is a paper printed faceplate to put on that. The notion would be, the throttle, or better stated, speed control. This would not control the gas, it would control the transmission. And then another knob to control the steering, and just messing around with that at the moment. But where I've gotten to is, these potentiometers are working. What's here is a temperature pressure sensor, BME 280. The antenna, obviously, there's a switch there for the mode. Got some other bits to put on this. This is the backside of 4 LEDs that are just dangling there at the moment. So as you can see, there's still physical sorting out to do, which I've not yet accomplished. So, but that's what the progress of that looks like at a software level. Let's see if I can find. This is the status of the software for me. And the reason I have my camera off is because I'm on 2 machines, and if I turn the camera on the other machine, it would give you a side view, which is a little bit rude. And if I turn the camera on this machine, what you'd get is a view of my kitchen, because I'm remoting into that machine. Anyway, the status of this software is, it takes those libraries at the moment to do what I've done so far. BME 280 library. This library does the OLED that's on the board, and this library handles the LoRa communication. I've gotten a couple of structures defined to hold data. One structure to hold the data that's being sent from the radio control unit, and one structure to hold data that's coming back from the tractor. More on that as time goes by. The basic loop structure is to get the readings off the potentiometers, to get the readings off the BME 280, to send the outgoing message from the radio control over to the tractor, to handle the message that's coming back from the tractor, display some stuff on the OLED, and then check the radio status, because I don't have the code in here yet, because I'm just sort of inching my way through this. But the notion would be, if it loses, the LED would be blinking, yellow once the radio starts to get low, and then it would be blinking red just before it, loses connectivity. And then when it loses connectivity, that it would, the tractor then would know it's lost connectivity, and would stop the tractor. That's the game plan. But right now I'm just doing some of the basic things. and some software challenges that I faced over the last week. Getting that BME 280 to work was actually more of a pain than I thought it would be. And it all came down to, let's see, where is that? Oh, it must be in setup. Start the OLED, start the BME. That little, I don't know, the compiler just refused to compile that statement without putting that definition of that number. So that's a frequency number. And I guess there's two. Ultimately, I found the article that said, yeah, there's two elements to the function. And if bottom line, the compiler got confused, and this was the way to unconfuse the compiler, is to find that in the parameter. So anyway, and then one more, I guess I'll end with, to control these LEDs that are NeoPixel LEDs, and using this fast LED object. I mean, you can change the color simply by giving it this sort of special command. And so over time, this will be, at the moment, it's just, hey, turn them on and give them a different color. So there needs to be more logic in this. Check the radio status. And the notion will be, one of those will be green, yellow, or red based on the radio status. And then I've also want to check the battery level. And although that might be a different function, I just put that note in there to remind me that that's some work to be done. So anyway, that's where I'm at in trying to make this little guy operate. All good stuff. Oh, and there's been a couple 3D print iterations on this while it's been going on. Questions on any of that?
Does that have a lid that closes? I see something sticking up in the back. Is it just a panel in the back, or is there actually?
It's just a panel in the back, because I wanted a place to hold this mode switch. This is the, run autonomously, run manual. That's the mode switch, and I think there'll be I need to have a switch to power the battery, turn the battery on and off, because there's three 18650 lithium batteries underneath this white doodad. But that's just a fixed piece of 3D printed material. Slow progress, but progress nonetheless. Anything going on in your world?
I tried to clean out my garage to get some room. So I was going to pull out my big snow blower and put it out on the street. So I spent all day. Early on, I got that out and parked in front of my house, drug everything else out, rearranged all my, I got like stock piled up in one corner, like, aluminum angle and steel angle and pipes and stuff like that. So I pulled all that out, swept it out, and put all that stuff back in and tried to rearrange everything. And it's getting late in the day, and I thought, well, gee, I should put stuff back in. So I started putting back in and realized I didn't have enough room to get everything back in, and I couldn't figure that out. But I got down to the end. I just had to start poking stuff here and there. So then sometime I started looking at that big snowblower, and I thought that the guy I got it from, he says it runs and it works, but it won't maintain the speed correctly. So I started looking at it. This is the first time I really looked at it hard. I thought it's probably just the governor is something's wrong with that. Either the linkage is incorrect. I thought when I first looked at it, when I first got the thing a couple years ago, it looked like somebody had replaced the carburetor with a different one, and I'm not sure. Now I'm thinking maybe they didn't do that. But when I play with it, move the throttle plate on the carburetor back and forth, there should be a spring in there somewhere that holds it at, holds the thing wide open if the engine's not running, and it doesn't seem to be doing that. So I'm guessing just down below there's a spring, either that somebody took off, or it fell off, or it broke. So I thought, well, if that's all that's wrong with it, maybe I don't want to throw it away. And it's just a matter of, I thought, well, that's one big thing I could get rid of. So if I decide to move, that's one less thing I have to transport and deal with, and then find somewhere to put it when I get there. But if it's a nice big industrial looking thing, and I thought, well, maybe I do want to hang on to it. So anyway, I just left it parked in front of my house overnight. And then the next day I thought, well, maybe I do want to keep that. So I drug all the crap back out again in the one corner, and put my big snow blower down, and put some boards on top, put a small snow blower on top of that. And then again, it was hard to get everything back in, but I managed to do that. So that's kind of where.
Given its size, is it self-propelled?
I assume it is. And I noticed it does not have a differential on the wheels. So if you want to turn it, you got to turn it really hard, and the wheels, one wheel will skid as you're doing that. So I assume that, once the thing is running and you're going down the sidewalk, it's got two handles you pull, and one of them might control the auger in the front, and the other one might control, say, the power of the wheels. So it looks like it is. I'm sure it is self-propelled, as big and heavy as it is, but I haven't tried to do anything with it yet.
It could be tractor number 2.
Yeah. So I started thinking there's something else associated with that. I guess I can't really think anymore on that, other than it does just need put back together, and then check out to see why that spring doesn't seem to be there. Maybe just a matter of popping it open and putting a spring on. That'll keep everybody happy at that point. And I don't know if it's a 5 horsepower or 8 horsepower, because I don't know if you replace the engine, but all the stuff is ground off. All, where it would say, it'd say Briggs and Stratton, and then it would say the size of it. And for some reason, that's all ground off or sanded off, and I can't figure out why that is. But so I don't know if you replace the engine at one point, or what the deal is. So I guess if I had to, I just pull that engine off and go to Harbor Freight and buy a new engine and put on it, if I decided I really wanted to do that. I was thinking there's something else as you were talking about your stuff. I thought of something else, and no, I didn't write it down, so I don't remember now what it was.
Yeah, because I was going to bring up picture of another snowblower and ask what your this is a self-propelled snowblower. It happens to be the Cub Cadet version, and I mean, obviously it's got these. Make that bigger. How do I? Oh, that's not working very well.
Yeah, that always works so well when you try to do these things.
I hate that. I didn't want that image. I wanted the other image. Where's the other image? Add to cart. They want to make sure you can add it to cart. Oh, come on. Yeah, I guess I have to make it small again. See that little yellow lever there?
Yeah.
There's 2 of those, one on the left and one on the right, and they do some sort of locking up the transmission to make it turn. So you pull that little lever, if you leave them alone, it's just going to go straight. If you pull that little lever, it's going to pull in the direction to the side that you, engage that yellow lever. And they're all cable controlled, so it wouldn't take much on this particular one. I say that like it would be easy, but it would take me a year to figure that out. But I thought it would be fun to automate a snow blower.
I think you'd have problems getting it to go where you want. I think still in snow blower, you still end up muscling it around a lot to get it to actually go where you want it to. So I don't know if you could just turn that over to computer and have it do that.
There is a lot of finesse. And I think my uncle called it body language that you have to get it. I mean, and this thing bangs on the ground, and I mean, it's a, yeah, it wouldn't be elegant, that's for sure.
I don't think they're self-propelled. I think they're propel assistance, I think is what it is. So you don't have to actually push it, but yeah, you do have to muscle it around, I think, to get it to go where you want it to.
Yeah.
Which is why it might be better put, say, a snowblower attachment on the front of your lawn tractor, because it knows how to drive straight and how to turn and so forth. So
yeah, that'd be a good idea. I can't seem to get back to the share controls here. That's going in the meeting, I bet. Oh, that's where it's at. It's over here on this screen. Well, that was 3-screen fiasco.
So
anyway, anything else going on in your world?
While we're recording, did I talk about my background, or was that before we started recording? I was talking about that
before you started recording. So for anybody who's having a problem with their green screen, because I had the last meeting I was pointing out down here in this corner, it was really crappy and had all kinds of dropouts. Well, I was in there today because I signed into Zoom, and for some reason all my backgrounds were gone. So I was adding those back in. And down at the bottom, there is the checkbox that says, do you have a green screen or not? And that is checked and turned on. But above it, there's a little square box that says, or it's got a color in it. So if you say you got a green screen, it puts green in there. So I clicked on that, and it lets you go pick a point on your background and click on it. And then it changes the background color. So at the moment it's working, seems to be working quite well. So that's another point. If you go to a green screen or some kind of a background, they say green is usually best, but you can say you got a green screen, and then if it's actually blue, you could click on the black background, make it blue, and then it would probably work okay. So, and then it just seemed like when I was pulling up backgrounds, let me pull one up here just because, choose virtual background, and just pulling up a random picture, it just seems like, this is a much better, let's see, can I do this? I can do these settings. I don't know if they're going to show up in the video or not, so I just went to a full screen here. But it seems like even the background is much more crisper now, and I don't know if it's just because the pictures I had before had been sized down or something, but it looks like a nice crisp image on that now. Let's pull up another one here just because. This is a new one I haven't had before, but wow,
it's kind of just a nice view of what's going on. So you can see they got power lines back here, and
they're bright yellow.
This will also, I can go back and watch this and see if when I'm switching between gallery view and speaker view, if that is actually going to show up in the video. Because I was noticing last month, I had it set to speaker view, so you can only see one person at a time. And I'd be talking along, and it kept switching. The video kept switching over to you. Apparently, there's noise in your room or something. And I thought, well, rather than worry about that, if I just leave it in gallery view like this, then it doesn't automatically switch back and forth between people. So you can see both. In this case, we had 2 people. You can see both people all the time. So that was just one more thing I learned on that.
was trying to find, yeah, that's that ticket. I found this on AliExpress. And trying to find the share button again. What in the world has happened to that? Oh, you've gone to your green screen now.
Yeah, just so, see, as I said, down in this corner is where it was screwed up and there are some wrinkles on the wall back there. That might be what was causing it. But as I, now that I told it, I picked a spot on the screen and said, go to that color. It seems to be working much better now.
How many switches do you have on your?
At the moment, I think I have about 3 on it right now. And a couple of them are, 3 position switches.
Do you remember their function?
One of them is just an up down switch, and that is, I've got it so it's either autonomous mode or manual mode. And then actually I don't think I'm even using the other 2 switches. They're on there, but I'm not using them. One of them is a maintained switch, so you got 3 positions. And I figured, well, you could use that for like an autonomous mode. You could use it for speed, so you'd have a slow and medium and a fast, depending on what it's set at. And the one that's the momentary one, I could have it so, in the middle position, it does nothing. If I turn it, say, to the right, if I wanted to start the engine, I could have it do that. Or if you turn it to the left, it would kill the engine. So it's just a matter of, assigning it to whatever you want as you do this stuff. So the switches have, create bits in the code. So you just say, if this bit is high or this bit is low, you do something with it. So, and I was going to put a couple more push buttons on. That's when I was complaining I ran out of IO pins on the processor I was using. So if I'd replace the board that's in it with, instead of the little Adafruit board that's all in one board, that's got the radio and like a Cortex M0 processor, if I replace that with just the little radio module from Adafruit and then replace it with a Teensy 3.5, then I'd have way more IO than I need. So the next time I try to redo things, I'll probably do that, and then I can put anything on it I want at that point. I can put knobs and switches and push buttons and all kinds of stuff on it because I have lots of IO then. So so this has, if you buy this for that price, that has both the remote and receiver. It looks like, yeah, down at the bottom there, showing you get a receiver box too with that.
Yeah, it appears to also have the receiver.
Yeah, I assume the receiver's in that big yellow box that you just showed.
Oh, yeah, that was my assumption as well. I was looking at it more for, I thought it was an interesting design and, it's meant to be for, as you can see, like a concrete truck or crane kind of thing where it's got, up and down. And I was trying to save the image so I could zoom in on it, but I'm not having much luck on saving just the image.
You right click on it, does it say save image or open image, a new window or something? And then, yes.
I mean, that's save as, it's giving me a web page. It's trying to save the whole.
Okay. Yeah, they try to make this stuff way more complicated than it should be. So, and then you can't do anything with it. And 2 points on that. I just patterned mine after the one that we had, which is why I've got the 2 joysticks and the switches and the positions they're in. And then I was going to add more push buttons and little switches to it, but I just didn't get around to it because I didn't have the extra IO. And the other point is, the one we had, the commercial one we had, I think they paid like $4,000 for it. So I didn't realize, for $400 you could get one that would basically do the same thing. It seems reasonable because it's not, it shouldn't have to cost you $4,000 for a box like this. So
Yeah, I don't know how easy it would be to integrate this sort of thing. I just stumbled on it and thought it was interesting to share.
did they tell you what kind of IO you get coming out of your receiver box?
I looked at it a little. Bear with me a second. I'll scroll down and see what it says. Get it off at 200%, so it's not so annoying. Industrial wireless.
So it looks like it's got terminals inside. You just wire up to it. It's got, relay outputs. And that's all they show. So it looks like it does not have a CAN bus or serial bus or anything. It looks like it's just simply a whole bunch of relay contacts you can hook up to, which, well, somehow they have to have some way to get the speed out of it. And maybe their speed is just turning relays on and off, but so that's always something to check out. If you wanted to buy something like this, check to see if it will actually do what you want. Don't buy it and then find out, oh, this isn't going to work. So go back up to the top picture of this list and see if you can zoom in on that or cut and paste it, or
This
that one right there. Yeah, can you, is that at work any differently?
Yeah, it's not a hot link. It's just the image.
Okay. And if you really wanted a better picture, it could be if you click on somewhere, you can get a manual for the thing, and then the manual might be a PDF and you could cut and paste stuff there. So, but yeah, in general, it looks like it will do a reasonable job, except those might not be analog joysticks. It might just simply be, as you move the joystick, it turns relays on and off, which you wouldn't necessarily get, any speed control out of that.
Look at all of those wires.
So I guess you have to add your own terminal strip. I assumed you would open the box, there'd be a terminal strip inside, put your own wires in, but this way they've got a box that's apparently mostly sealed, so that it's up to you what you do with the other end on those wires. And yeah, that is a lot of wires. So maybe someday since I know something like this does exist, maybe it's be worth searching for and try to find one that has analog joysticks and pots and stuff on it. And but it's always much more flexible if you build your own. It's just that you have to go to the trouble to do it.
Yeah, there are details about how to change the quartz. Now, which of these would you think is the pot?
I don't think there is any pots. No, the joysticks, it's going to be, I assume if you move the joystick to the right, it'll turn on one of these relay contacts, and you'd have to look and see.
Oh my heavens.
So I think that's all this one's going to do.
Interesting.
You'd have to figure out on there, possibly looking at your picture, and if you look at a joystick, it might say, they might have some name on that, so you can tell. So like starting at the top of the relays there, it says F1, it says R1, R2, R3, R4. It could be that that's what those are, is the joystick pots or the joystick switches. I don't know.
It's funny. You think, oh, maybe there's a download for the operations manual. This is the operations manual.
Huh. Oh, they still might have a link somewhere if you want to download that part of it. Maybe you can.
Anyway, I stumbled across that, thought it would be interesting to see the physical. I was looking at it mostly for the physical dimensions and size. Each transformer will offer 2 voltage options for different 110 volt. What's all that?
Well, they said at the top you can order it various ways. So you can either order as they had 12 volt, 24 or 36, and then I think they had some AC options. So I think it's just a matter of how you order the thing, what it's going to have that on or not. Right there, that sticker on the left joystick says trolley. So that might be, so then the switches might be called T1, T2, and so forth. And I don't know if you go back up a little, maybe you see the other joystick, see what those are called. Those are called, well, that's called traveling.
Hoisting.
Oh, one says slewing right, so that might be S. And the one that says traveling forward might be T. And then you got trolley, and you got hoisting. So maybe, maybe that's enough indication so you can see which outputs would be controlled by that. But I guess at this point, if you're not planning to buy one, it doesn't really matter what they're called.
No. But it's a neat design.
And you notice on that, you scroll down a little bit where they showed kind of right there. Well, in fact, there's various examples there. See the one kind of on the right there that shows, you can see the joysticks, and it's got like that plastic that comes up around the side. That was something I was copying off the original one. That's why I put it inside of my ammo box, put the pots down inside. So basically the edges of the ammo box keep you from bumping that, so you don't accidentally bump the pot and have the vehicle move on you. And I see that the original one you're looking at, they had like a metal ring that came up around it. And this looks pretty much like, it's probably gonna be just like the other one you just had. Like, if you know the right keywords, you could probably search and say, I want analog remote or variable speed remote or something, and maybe you could come up with, maybe somebody actually sells one that does what you want. Now I know the one, the company that Danfoss bought, which was, it's a company that actually makes remote controls, and I think they're in like Italy or France or somewhere. On that one, you can actually, when you buy the thing, you can tell them what switches you want and where you want to put them. And it was, I don't remember if the front panel had lots of holes in it where they could be moved around, or if they build you a custom front panel for it. So as I say, if you want lots of push buttons, you can get that, or you want lots of switches, you can get that. If you want to put some knobs on, you can add that. So but right there on the left, see there's that thing about the metal ring I was talking about that comes up around the protect the joystick so you don't bump them. So that's something to consider. And that all goes back to Kyler's video. He's saying, oh, I built this remote control to control my combine. So he just had one of those PS3 joysticks plugged into a Raspberry Pi, and he put the Raspberry Pi in his pocket. So he could sit there, and on the video, he'd go like this, and you could see the combine moving around. He says, oh, let me climb up into it. So he's climbing up on the ladder. He bumped the joystick, and the whole thing lurched forward. So that's why you need to have something like that. And ideally, you want like a dead man switch, just a push button somewhere. You have to hold your finger on the push button before the joysticks will actually do anything. But as you mentioned before, that gets to be a pain where if you have to hold a switch down all the time, because number one, it makes your thumb sore if you do that. So you'd have to get something that's fairly lightweight switch. So, you have to actually be holding on to it, intentionally holding that to enable the thing. That would be handy. I know on the PS3 joysticks, they will take one of the buttons on the front and they say you have to hold that button down before the joysticks will work. Depending who wrote the driver for it, that's a safety feature that will, again, protect you so you don't run over yourself, or the thing doesn't bash into the side of your house or something because you weren't paying attention and you dropped it or rubbed up against something.
You know, these guys are actually appears to be selling just the handset deal.
Well, down in the things below, it shows a receiver box, but in the
Yeah, I mean, to get the
Oh,
receiver is $182. To get the
Okay.
handset is $217.
Okay, I see.
To get them both is $409. To get two controllers plus a receiver, it looks like $560. Interesting. I was just looking at design was start switch, on and off, master on and off, emergency stop, 4 push buttons, this function button, and those 3, whatever they are. There's a completely different design. Oh, maybe it's the same design, just angled differently.
Yeah, I think that's what it is. You're just looking at it from the top.
I thought that was interesting to share. Anyway, that's what's going on in my world.
Well, I did notice, I've been keeping track when I put those videos of my lawn tractor run the steering by pushing the buttons on it, and I put them on my web page as opposed to the lawn tractor web page. I see they are getting much more exposure over there. So,
That's
and
cool.
in the description on those, it says, "Oh, go check out the lawn tractor YouTube channel." So, I thought people would do that, and I don't know if anybody is actually doing that or not.
Cool. Want to turn off recording?
Okay.